Yeah. Awesome. So just like I say, just real super casual kind of little get together of whoever's around, whoever wants a little bit of help. Just kind of thought I'd go around the room and see what everyone's working on. And yeah, I guess, any questions or anything you want me to talk on, that's cool. I can chat about pretty much anything at this stage. So I think I'll go with Dave just because I know him. He's sort of like just touched on a little bit of stuff that he's working on. But if we just kind of go around the room, and if anyone else chimes in, and if you don't want to participate, that's absolutely fine. There's certainly no obligation to. If you got any questions, obviously just yell out or drop them in the chat, or if any topics that you want me to cover as well, like I say. But if you start with Dave, what's happening over your side, man? We've kind of obviously just touched on that before I hit record, but you're back from deathbed type stuff.
Yeah, mate. Yeah. So I've pretty much had the last 6 months off, not by choice, by health. So I'm feeling pretty much 100%. Not having felt this good since January, as I said. So over the last few months, I've been reading a lot of books. I've read the .com Secrets trilogy over the last couple of months, and I've just gone through Alex Hormozi's book again and a couple of other books. So just been refreshing my mind with all the marketing things that I've been working on and thinking about. So I'm just in the middle of crafting a new $10,000 offer to work with people that are actually serious and are committed to investing into themselves and their education.
Yep.
And at the same time, I've just been going through someone else's training. So, and I've taken a few aha moments out of their training, which has been good, and been taking some notes. And I'm going to structure a couple of my questions a little bit differently to what I have in the past. And I'm going to see how well that goes. I'm going to test it out for, I'm going to say 60 or 90 days, just to see what the conversion is like.
Awesome.
And I know that you'll post see that on the back end when they convert, because I just updated my banner 2 days ago. It took me about 7 minutes in Canva to do my Facebook profile, my Facebook page, and my Facebook group. Just changed a couple of words and bang, bang, bang. There you go. So my offer is going to be based around UMM.
Nice.
Around UMM, and solving and understanding the problem that I am solving is lead generation and conversion.
Awesome. What's the 10G offer? That sounds pretty nice. I like that. What are you chucking the 10K offer?
Right, so part of my 10G offer is me one-on-one with them for 12 months. And at the same time, getting access to UMM Core. Cool. So that way they get Jamie Gardner as their primary coach in their Jamie Gardner's program for UMM, but they also get my added support for 12 months.
Yep. And now Chris as well, which is awesome.
Oh yeah, and Chris as well. Sorry, I have to add that. I have to add that in now to the
that was a value add. Very, very stoked about that. Cool. Okay, so that sounds awesome. I think, and just for context, in case folks aren't sort of across group stuff, there's the capacity to ask 3 questions as someone enters a Facebook group. And one of the reasons why Facebook groups can be an absolute goldmine is the capacity to extract data from incoming leads. And so I've got 3 standardized questions on that, and it's basically what would you like to learn from this community? In my case, it's just a typical, in sales we call it a permission to pitch. It's basically where you're asking if it's okay to reach out. So in my case, I basically say something to the effect of, actually no, I've changed it recently, but I'll circle back to that. But it's pretty much, I've helped 900 students scale their business through high ticket affiliate marketing. Would you like me to reach out to explain how, or would you like me to hear how I can help you scale your business, something like that? And so I get a bulk of those say yes, and all it means is that if I'm approaching someone on Messenger, it's just a little bit friendly. I'm like, hey, you mentioned this, blah blah blah, like how's things? Doesn't necessarily mean anyone's going to buy anything. That's kind of not the point. It's more just an icebreaker. I've actually just changed it though, because I launched a 6-day virtual event for a whopping $5 recently, and I think I probably should have 10x that price, to be honest. But put that in there, and I'm just saying, hey, I've just started a brand new 6-day virtual event for complete newbies, covering what to avoid as a new affiliate, as well as setting up your business for success. Would you like some info on that, basically? And so I've got a VA now that's off doing that. So it is worth testing. And then the final question I've got is,
That's bad, huh?
what are you promoting? And if nothing, just say nothing. Say none, basically. And so that just means that I can work out where in the state of awareness that person is. So if they are brand new to all the stuff, they've never done any affiliate marketing before, or online marketing, then it just means that I can give them different information, which is going to help push them down that pathway quicker, as opposed to someone who's like, yeah, I've been part of this program. Like, okay, cool. Well, they must have some knowledge. There is a probability that they have also invested in high ticket at that point. So there's a different psychology that goes on, and it means that the conversation you have with those folks is usually a little bit different as well. So that's cool, man. I love the 10G offer. Roll a payment plan with that, or just that can you mainly use it as a pricing anchor?
Yeah, no, there will be a payment option available for it as well. So yeah, but the core offer will be UMM with Chris and Jamie, or Jamie and Chris. Chris comes.
Yeah, man, get it right.
Yeah, and then 12-month support with myself. If they don't want my extra support for the 12 months, it'll be like the UMM offer as a bit of a downsell.
Yep, that's a really good way to go. Really good way to go. And kudos for you, like it's just circling back to one of the things you said, which was in relation to hammering the books and stuff, because it sounds so simplistic, but like it's the continual absorption of knowledge. And I think one of the problems that I've seen, it's not even a problem, but I know this plays out in my own life, so I'll speak on my own accord rather than like pointing fingers. But so I have a book and I'll read it, or I'll listen to it on Audible, and then a lot of the time on Audible I'm going for a walk, or I'm like hanging out doing other stuff, and so therefore you're not really truly absorbing it. So I will often, with certain books like $100 million offers, I'll probably listen to that maybe 7 times, something like that, which makes me sound like an absolute nerd, but I live and breathe and eat and sleep marketing, so it's a little bit different, I guess. Exactly. That's cool, man. Anything I can do to help while we're here to you then?
Mate, I suppose I'm going to say it's probably not a problem, but my biggest thing is just to increase traffic flow.
Yep.
It's not a conversion problem, as Russell Brunson would always say. Well, actually, no, Russell Brunson would always say it's a conversion problem. It's not the traffic problem, but it's just getting that traffic to increase.
So 2 things. One of the things I guess with my process and everything, I always say, like, you don't need a big audience, but the precursor to that is, yes, lead flow is obviously super important. The more leads you've got, the more, from a psychological perspective, the more detached you are, because you're just like, just another lead is fine. Like, if they don't buy, it's fine. Like, I'll move on type stuff. And it means that from psychologically you're detached. It's kind of like for anyone that's been dating previously, and it's that sort of dynamic where you meet someone, you don't want to be too desperate, so you're like, I'm not going to text them back straight away, all that type of stuff. And then it's the same thing when it comes to prospecting and whatnot, right? Like, if you only have like a handful of leads, like 5 people that you've been in conversation with, then you're kind of like, oh, please, I hope this one lands, like, oh. And then if you obviously increasing lead flow, then you're just naturally more detached from that, and you also get more repetitions in, and so that way, purely based on that, you become better at the sales process itself. What I'd say though, and the reason I raise that is, absent of volume of lead flow, what you can do is you got to think, like, what is the key driver that is going to get people to go, I'd like some information, like, whatever you've got, I like the cut of your jib, right? And so some of it is to do with just personality and just branding and consistency and all that type of stuff. But the other part of it is heavily making a conscious effort, with intention to bolster your authority, because you have done a ton of stuff, right? And so therefore it's just and even though it may sometimes feel like it's actually an ego play, obviously it's not. You're not just saying it for your own ego. It's basically to remind your audience like, hey, I know some stuff and I've achieved some stuff, and the people that are part of my program have done a whole bunch of stuff as well, which is when you're constantly reminding folks of that, in a way that's not kind of like super douchey or whatever, but then it means that people are like, okay, well, that person is someone I should listen to, as opposed to if you're just like, hey, here's a value post, like, well, why would I bother reading that? Because I've done some stuff. Oh, okay, cool, you've done some stuff. Yeah, okay, sweet. Now I say done some stuff, I mean, that could be as simple as like, you know, you nailed it like last year, I think, when you're like, you know, group growth increased by X%, because it's a different angle. Like people that haven't had group growth at all, they're like, how do I do that? So therefore it's intriguing for folks. You're creating a sense of intrigue. So that would be the big thing, because then it also means that once you start like really hammering the lead gen stuff, like you've already got the fuel and you're already starting to get into the consistency and the practice of like using implicit authority and talking about your wins. And like I say, it's not an ego play. You're not like, look at me, I'm awesome. Although that can be a byproduct of it at times. So yeah, that would be my big thing. In terms of lead flow, I mean, it's, you just got to put the reps in, basically. Not to put too fine a point on it. I know of multi-7-figure coaches, and quite literally all they'll do is they'll go to the recommended friends, and they'll just hit that recommended by Facebook, and just hit that twice a day and do like 40 in the morning, 40 at night, and that's the lead gen process. And then all it is just creating visibility with those folks. So not even necessarily like fully DMing every single one. It's just like, if you're going to go and engage, start to build that visibility up, because quite literally, if you look at two examples, you got one person on one side that's got like, I don't know, like 5 comments on their post. And then on the other side, you've got someone who's got an average of like 50 to 100. Then psychologically, the social proof is on one versus the other. So even though one person, even though they might have done a whole bunch more stuff, doesn't matter, because you've got the social proof, because you've got engagement. And when you've got that, I'm not saying like likes are loot. It's one of my favorite sayings. But what you can do is you can leverage that to then get the people that aren't engaging to raise their hands and like, yeah, I'd like some information on what you've got. So that'd be my play. Work on your authority massively, as much as you can, even though it might feel uncomfortable, and then just hammer the lead flow after that. What it also means, if you're doing it in that style, and this is a very unpopular opinion, but whatever, is instead of like going onto your short form stuff, and this is where I think so many people mess up, is they kind of like, oh, I'm going to do short form content stuff, which is fine, but they'll go and they'll create all these reels and TikToks and stuff, but it's all based on hypothetical information. It's not like, hey, here's how I made my first 5 high ticket sales, you know, working 2 hours a day. It's just like, hey, here's how hypothetically how to make a high ticket sale, apparently, and here's a potentially, so I've heard, a job that you could do from home that I've never tried myself. I just heard other people suggest it, like, and so I hate that kind of content personally. But I think when you're able to speak on it confidently, because it's something that has actually happened for you, then it's way different, right? Like, it's here's how I grew my growth, the hell, here's how I grew my group to my first 100 members, you know, doing this simple little task. Here's how I got my first low ticket sale, my first leads, my first high ticket sale, etc. Because then you're actually talking on your own experience rather than just like this kind of like random hypothetical stuff. So that'd be my take on it.
Yeah, no, and I agree with you there as well. I know in the last couple of months I did try some of the short form content that some of the people just keep rehashing all the time, how to make $10,000 with Lego or blah blah blah, whatever the brand is.
I mean, it works. Like, I won't deny it, but I hate it. Hate it really passionately.
It's just clickbaity, and it's just traffic.
Yeah, and look, I mean, there's so many ways to skin a cat, and it is something that works for people. And so I probably shouldn't be as harsh in my cynicism around it, but I just like, it's just that thing of like, I'm not doing that thing, but this is like, if you wanted to, you could go do that thing. And it's like, well, I don't know. Yeah. I have an opinion of it. Perhaps unjust. Perhaps it's unjust. I don't know. But anyway, I just think it's more of a powerful play when it's you talking about what you've done rather than the other way around.
Cool. Thanks, Jamie.
No worries. I'll hit this question from Alison because she's got a very busy household by the sounds of it. So I'm worried just in case I don't get to it, she's going to have to get off or something. And I'll just read it out for anyone that plays catch up on this if I decide to throw this out there. Basically, it just says you can ask questions, which of course everyone can ask questions all at once. Everyone just start yelling questions at me. I'll figure it all out. How to repurpose group content to profile and video. Just not sure how much I'm meant to give away on my profile to get them into the group. Yeah, okay. It's a really good question. So I guess in a perfect world, what you'd be doing is looking to create a sense of exclusivity around your group, basically. And so therefore, in theory, the better content should go in your group. I don't really worry about that too much these days. I write some very unique things in my emails versus my profile versus my group. What I do that is very significantly different is I don't ever go live on my profile. I think I've tried it maybe 3 times on my profile ever, and it just feels weird. Like I don't know. I know that the folks in my group, everyone that's here now is, for lack of better terminology, I've vetted to some degree. Like, then you're all normal, good people, basically. Welcome to my world. I appreciate you all. And so that means that I'm comfortable going live, comfortable jumping on Zooms, doing all that type of stuff, whereas I probably wouldn't do that on my profile. So that's just one tiny little thing you can use as a differentiator. The other thing as well, and this is something that I've started doing, and like, to be fair, I've just had a lot going on, so my creative mojo hasn't cat in the upper right hand corner there. My creative mojo hasn't been there to the degree that I would hope lately. But normally speaking, what I do is I'll write a post. I go to like Google Docs and I'll write it, because I've discovered something unique, which is that if I'm trying to write on the Facebook interface itself, there's a wall of distractions everywhere, and I find it better if I don't have those distractions. So I'll go onto a Google Doc, I'll write that, I'll then copy paste it over. Sometimes I'll just go profile group, and that's it, right? Like same piece of content, because I know that there's going to be different audience members that see one versus the other. And even if it is a double up, it's not going to matter a huge deal. But then what I would do, or you have done, and something that would probably be quite beneficial in your situation, is if you're wanting to then double up with stories and short form content, generally speaking, take what you've written and then just do a little reel or a 1 to 2 minute video on that, and then you're able to syndicate that content really easily. That would be my take on it. So I do that, and then I use something called Opus, which happy to drop an affiliate link if anyone's interested. But Opus is something that takes a YouTube video and it automatically creates those Alex Hormozi style videos with the font and all that type of stuff, and it can chop it down into like 60-second videos, things like that as well. And so that means that I can then chuck that around the internet pretty easily. But again, there's still an element of labor behind it. Link, oh my God, welcome. I knew my time would be worth it here. Yes, this is awesome. Affiliate marketing 101. I have to figure out what that'll get it though. Damn it. So I don't know, Dave. Dave, this is my Zoom. Just give me one. I mean, you're always dropping your Amazon links everywhere, man. Come on now. I don't even know how long to get my affiliate link anyway. It's ridiculous. Whatever's. I'll drop it in a second. I don't hear I'm back. Yeah, go me. Yeah, so I think and one more point I will make on that as well is I probably would encourage you not to overthink that too much. And sorry for anyone that's just chiming in as well. Hey Lisa, hey Aisha, sorry, I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name right. Sorry. Roy, how's it going? Siddhartha. JC didn't say hi before. But just for context, we're just talking about like when you're setting up a group, how do you determine what content goes in which one? Like how do you sort of break that up? And I pretty much just gave a ramble on things that I do in my group versus things I don't do outside my group. So the main one for me being is that I don't really go live on my profile. I go live in my group. I kind of just purely based on that, I keep it as like a, it's just this is my gang, right? And these guys are my gang. And so I like that because it means that you can have a sense of control over who's in your tribe, so to speak. But yeah, I guess the last comment I'd make on that is I wouldn't stress too much about it. The only other thing I would say is like with the questions, the entry questions, that's where you're going to get a ton of data from. And so after a little while, especially if you keep a spreadsheet of the stuff and you go, okay, and it's usually really recurring. It's like leads, it breaks down into a couple of stuff, leads, sales, connections, you know, whatever, right? So, but connections usually just means that they want to find leads, fair play. And so with that, then you know, okay, well, there's actually only a few things I really need to bother writing content about. And one of the other problems I think pops up, it used to pop up for me a lot, which is like, oh, I feel like I just spoke about this topic like a week ago. I don't know if I can really do another piece of content that is based on the same theme. But if that is you, and I'm not suggesting that is, but it was for me, so I'll just kind of ramble on it for a second. But what you kind of understand is like, if there's, for example, 3 or 4 things that people need to understand, they need to have a mental shift about in order to be willing, ready, and able to make a purchasing decision, then you got to understand that, like, just kind of like a retargeting ad, if you go to any website and it all of a sudden they just like pop up everywhere and you're like, the hell, like you say something and all of a sudden your phone just like, oh my God, did you say, like, what following me around here? And that's kind of almost what we need to do in some respects with our content. It's like we need to kind of hammer the same message, and even though it might feel repetitive, that's kind of the point, because you know, we often need a lot of touch points before we really absorb the information. And so therefore I would, to simplify your content, generally speaking, I'll just pick out 3 to 5 things that you feel are like the key pillars that someone would need to go through mentally, like have that belief shift in order to go, okay, I love Alison and I want to buy her stuff, and just kind of keep hammering those recurring themes there. Nice to see you, Lisa. Thanks for hopping on. Yeah, sorry, someone's asking a question about BAM. Yeah, far away. If anyone wants to unmute themselves and just start yelling, that's fine as well. Don't yell, but you know what I mean.
Hello, Jamie. Yes, I have the question about BAM.
Yep.
So I had bought BAM, and I have to say that the content is super awesome. That's what minimum I have to say. The problem is I wanted to really promote it so that not only do I get some commissions, people also who don't have it can get good value with this course. Now, my problem is I can't use Wise in my country. I can use Wise only to send money, not to receive it.
Right.
And getting a PayPal business is not impossible here, but it's a little complicated.
Okay.
So what options do I have?
Oh man, that's a tough one. So I'll give you guys some insight into being a product vendor, and especially when they are the lower ticket thing as well. especially like it's $5, right? So it means that the volume is cool. Like lots of people are promoting, lots of sales made, which is awesome. On my last month, I had to do, I think it's like 134 affiliate payments. So I'm actually trying to like simplify things and just go, no, I can't do wires transfers anymore. Like it's too complex to kind of manually go and add cash into a separate account to then pay out and blah blah. Like it gets just painful, as opposed to the affiliate software I've got. I click a little button and it just like sends the cash off into the wilderness, and that is through PayPal, which I understand. I loathe PayPal. I hate it passionately because of the fees, because they lock up your funds, because of all sorts of stuff. But it's kind of like one of those necessary evils at the moment. Having said that, I mean, if you really can't get access to that type of stuff, yeah, I don't know what the solution is, to be fair. I think if you're able, like you're obviously got a local bank account, and so you don't actually necessarily need a Wise account in order to receive funds from a Wise account, if that makes sense. So if the worst case scenario was to happen, then I could effectively pay into Wise myself and then pay you to your local bank account. It's just very much not my preference, and something that I've very much tried to avoid, just because, like I say, there's just it's the difference between like spending 3 hours like going through the payments, or the payouts I should say, versus like all day stressing about manually entering stuff. That's anything, but yeah,
Right.
that'll be the kind of main
It's
solution.
Wise and PayPal, or do we have anything else as well?
Not through Thrivecart, no. That's pretty much it at the moment.
Okay. Thanks, Jimmy.
No worries, man. Thanks, Dave. Thanks for tuning in. So I was going around the room before, then I realized that we might end up like there might be so many people jumping on, so it might get a little bit scary and I'll lose my place. But does anyone have any questions, anything they want help with in their what they're up to? Sorry, your sound is absolutely horrendous.
Hear me?
Get a little bit better.
Right. Why do I wonder? It's so loud as well.
There you go. Perfect. Beautiful. There you go.
Quick question. What's your thoughts on charging for, I'm going to say, sales / strategy calls, right? I'm just finding that, like, I'll have sales calls booked in with people, and I mean, some don't show, and it kind of irritates the crap out of me. So I'm actually getting to the thought where I'm thinking, and I'm going to start charging. I mean, it might be something small, $20, $30, whatever. And if they end up purchasing, that's fine. That I'll refund that back off of their purchase. But I just wanted to see what your thoughts were, because I'm kind of getting to the stage where I think when people just book in a call, sometimes, there's no really obligation for them to pitch up, but it kind of gets on my nerves when they don't show.
Yeah. I can relate. Especially when you put your day off for a particular time, and then and the other battle that we also face is that and I say we specifically, people based in like Australia, New Zealand, the southern hemisphere, is because the time zones are so different. A lot of the time people, they think they're booked in for 2:30 p.m. but it's 2:30 a.m. and it gets really complex. But I think it's not a bad idea. What you could also do is, like, say it's a fully refundable token gesture. It could be anywhere from $5 to $100. Like one of the ones I've seen work pretty well was have an application process, and basically if someone goes through the application process, they tick all the boxes, and then they I think it was a $100 deposit, if I remember correctly. And so what it meant is that every time you go through that, there's a wall to go through. It means that from a psych, this is so manipulation 101, but basically, because you're holding something back, and whatever's on the other side of that wall must be really awesome. And so the more someone has to work to get over that, the more they want the thing, basically. And so therefore it's like, oh, there's an application. Oh, okay, fine, I'll put $100 down. And yes, it is fully refundable, of course, but then of course, like the shot rate is going to be 100%, right? Because no one's going to miss that because they'll lose $100. The tricky part with that is you would lose volume, like to close to zero. But it also means that the people that have jumped on at that point, without even needing to be like sell anything, they would buy stuff basically, and so your close rate would be astronomically high, like 80% or something like that. So it's kind of like one of those things where, I mean, if you can push volume, then yeah, absolutely, it's probably the best way to go. The other, I guess, the other thing would be how you're framing the call as well. I think if someone like, I think what people hate is where like, hey, hop on a call, and then you hop on a call and it's like a bait and switch, like, oh, I can show you how to do X, Y, Z, and then you get on the call and they're just trying to like, oh, so what struggles do you have in your business? Like, oh, okay, I've been tricked onto this call. And so I think people are getting quite wary of that stuff. And I'm not saying you're doing that, of course, but like, I think because people become wary of that, they then start getting like almost afraid of getting on calls. I personally won't get on a call unless I've got the money on my credit card ready to buy, because I don't want to waste that person's time or mine for that matter, type stuff. And so that's me. I'm probably a little bit different, I guess, but yeah, I'll give that a shot. The other thing you can do is inside UMM, I've got the cash flow strategies, and one in particular, I call it my quick fire cash, and basically it's, for context for everyone, it's quite simply where you create like a ridiculously wicked offer, and it's like 10 grand worth of value, and you're leading with a coaching call. And so the idea is that you have this big chunk of value, and they get like, you know, all the goods in the world and your time. And so you sell that for a nominal fee. It could be the quickest I've ever converted has been about $100, but I charge $197 as a minimum now. But I did it over the weekend, went bananas, sold 5 spots. And I say that because if you have transacted with someone and they hop on a call with you and you have given them a good experience in buying, and I literally mean you just give them a coaching call, and then the uptake rate from them just going, so what else have you got? Like, it will just naturally, without you even needing to try, roughly about 20% of those people will buy something else later on, whether it be high ticket coaching or whatever it is. And so maybe that's the other play as well. You can probably do that, I reckon, even like weekly, if you keep changing the angles around, as long as you've got lead flow. I do it maybe once every 3 months, and it just works bananas. Probably maybe, I'm going to say maybe 60 grand, something like that. And again, like I say, I want to stress this, it is genuinely selling a coaching call. You are genuinely helping that person out. But at the end of it, like if you get to the hour or 90 minutes or whatever it is, and you're just like, hey, by the way, you know, would you like to see how it might look if we continue working together? And they say, no, I hate you. This has been the worst time of my life. Like, okay, well, it's not what I expected, but most of the time it's just like, okay, cool. Well, look, I'll show you what I've got. This is how I help folks and blah, blah. And it's just super casual. There's no pressure. You don't even need to really ask the questions. Like, look, if it is for you, happy to send some information through. You can have a think about it, and, you know, let me know if you got any questions, and if that's something that might be of interest. And they go, okay. And then, like I say, even without trying, about 20% will just, hey, Lisa, what do you got? What else you got next? Type of stuff. Does that help? One more question on the back of that is, what's the shot rate, would you say?
Look, I actually have more, probably, to be fair, I do probably have more people show than don't. But maybe this morning I was cranky because I got up really early for someone and then they didn't show. And they had actually requested the call. That was the most annoying of everything. So it was a call that they'd requested. I got up super early because, to your point, the time zone difference. And then the bloody person didn't pick. So I was maybe I was just cranky today because that happened this morning.
very rare
Yeah.
occasions I've had that happen, and you know, I'm human as well, so sometimes I have a little bit of a reaction to such things. And I remember there's one person I messaged them. I said, yeah, it's really disrespectful, because they did it twice basically. I haven't no second chance policy, but I was like, okay, you know, whatever, something their cat died or whatever. I'm like, okay, no worries at all. Like, feel free to lock in another time, and they did. And yeah, and then then they stood me up again. I'm like, oh, had very stern words, and then they end up buying something. I'm like, okay, is this a trick here? So yeah, can work the other way sometimes. Yeah, I think putting applications in place, but just understand that there's going to be a huge drop off, but way better quality by the time they get through that process. And it also means you have a direction of the conversation as well. So if you're on the application, it can just be a free Google form. You don't need to use software or anything. And at the end of that, you're going to know, okay, well, this is what they're struggling with. That's where they want to be. This is what they're working on at the moment. And then you can start to think, okay, well, this is probably how I can help them out as well. And so that, yeah, makes it just a pretty casual conversation as well. Plus you have all that data. I also go next. What are you guys working on? Otherwise, I'm just going to pick on everyone. Everyone can just start talking at the same time.
I have a question.
For sure.
Okay, so it's kind of along the lines, but a little different. So I'm in the sponsorship side
Okay.
of marketing, and the class that I just recently went through, they're teaching cold calling. And I am really having a hard time with that because I know that warm marketing works.
Yep.
So any advice you have for that?
Yeah. Cold calling. Wow, that takes me back. Woo. I don't miss those days at all. It was my least favorite form of selling. But effective, if you can get good at it, it is effective. So so the sponsorship side of things. So talk to me, how does the cold call work? Do you get a list of something, like list of businesses, or how does that side of things work?
So basically, so my property is that we do concerts, and we just had a concert last week. We've got 2,500 people. Yes. So basically they say find your avatar, and then once you find your avatar and you know what they know, like, and you kind of can go from there and kind of figure out what kind of business would engage with your audience.
Sure.
So that's kind of where that goes. They tell you to figure out your persona and then from there kind of engage with other businesses that you think that your audience would be attracted to.
Yep. Okay. So taking the same theme of cold calling, so and the same kind of train of thought with that idea, I'm guessing that you take a list of folks or something, and then you just like hammer the phones, like
so they have a method. They say, email them, call them, back and forth, and then if you don't hear from them, then go to the next person in the group of,
Cool.
like if it's whatever company it is, if it's sales, then try the person in sales for a week. If you don't hear from that person, then go to the person in marketing. If you don't hear from marketing, then go to HR.
Cool. So I used to run an agency back in like 2017 to 2019 when Facebook decided to ban me from advertising for some weird reason, even though I put through my clients like 7 figures worth of ad spend through my clients. Was like, I don't get it. Can't anyway, whatever. But during those times when I was trying to acquire clients, I had this software. Let me see if it's still available. It's called Mailshake. And sort of where I'm thinking with this stuff is like, if you're able to acquire a list of emails, you can use the software and it basically automatically sends from like Gmail, for example. And it pretty much the template that I used to use was obviously it's a little bit different from what I was doing, but basically, would you mind getting me in contact with your marketing department? No worries, Lisa, have a good one. Would you mind putting me in touch with your marketing department? Just spotted something on the website. And that was on the I guess, idea that there's something wrong with their lead generation, and often there was, and so therefore I'd sometimes get like a back and forth going on, like, look, happy to kind of jump on a 15-minute call to discuss this. And so obviously you frame it completely different, but that would be a way for you to effectively use a cold system to get warm leads, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So therefore it wouldn't feel so weird if it's like, here's my Calendly, lock in a 15-minute chat, we'll see if this is the right thing, or we can just sort of work this out. And so it's still a cold call technically, but like at least there's interest from the other side, rather than you just going, hey, got this thing, you should buy it.
Okay.
How does the cold call go? What do you say?
So basically they tell us, to go through LinkedIn, of course, kind of first say, hey, basically, I think that our market coincides with your market. Would you like to jump on a call and let's discuss it? Something similar to those lines. And then do like a 10-minute call. It was like, hey, and talk about our interests and stuff. It's like, you not selling anything on the first call or anything, just saying, scheduling another meeting.
Yep.
And then after you schedule the next meeting, then that's when you go through discovery. And then on the second call, it would be where you ask them about their pain points and different things like that.
What would be and just so I understand your business model a little bit, what's the, like you're saying you're selling concerts or something, but what is, like, if I'm a business owner, like, how do you help me type stuff? Oh, sorry, you're selling sponsorship for the concerts.
Right. So I am the concert. I'm the concert, and I have the people that you want, because the people come to my event. So you have live people front and center. And it's like, I think I have what you want. I have what you need. Let's see if we can work something out, essentially.
Oh, gotcha. Sorry. When you said sponsorships, I've been sort of getting information from, there's a marketer called Scott Oldford, and he uses sponsorships, but it's more in like newsletters, for example. He'll buy some advertising space in newsletters. So I thought that was the thing. Okay, sponsorships. Do you have is there any data at all on like a business of some kind that has an uptick in revenue or eyeballs on their stuff or foot traffic through their store or something like that?
Good question. So I guess the hard part for me is that the location, I don't live in that location. I live about 9 hours from the location that we do the events. So I don't have the homegrown base to go. You know what I mean? So I think that's probably the hardest thing for me now. I have our data from, our email list and our social media and stuff like that. And so what I did this time around, because we just had the event, I did go around and take pictures of all the locations that were nearby that I thought were, potential like sponsors. And so I figured I would do that approach and then kind of go from there.
Awesome.
But
okay.
Because I'm just trying to warm it up. I'm like, I am not, I have a warm heart. Cold markets don't work.
I love that saying. That's awesome. Warm heart, cold market. Have you sold any spots for the sponsorship?
We've done some radio shares. So we have a partner with the radio. And so what radio does is if radio gets us sponsored, then we'll split the share.
Gotcha.
But I haven't got any per se on my own.
Right. Okay. Okay. No, I was hoping that if there was, you could just call them up. Hey, how'd you get on with the thing? Do you see like a massive spike in traffic after the thing or whatever? Do you have any demographic data on like the attendees, for example?
I have some. I've done a survey on them, and then so what I plan to do is, because we just had this Saturday, I'm gonna do another survey this
Okay, awesome. Because I was just thinking, like, if absent of examples of where it's worked really well for a business, like that would be ideal. But then the next best thing is like, well, hey, I've got these eyeballs can get on your stuff. And so therefore it's like, you know, this demographic, like these spending habits, this income, like average income, things like that. Or the other way would be, and what's like the concerts typically, what are they?
They're music festivals.
Wow, that's so cool. Okay, awesome. There's a couple of angles you could also take with it as well. And I think one of them would be just purely based on like getting involved in the local community, based on you know, this type of thing to promote things like where am I going with that? Yeah, just community-based stuff, I think, in general, like support the local community, support healthy cultures, healthy living, you know, vibrant, clean events, things like that. I think those things would, like, because that angle would work really well, because then it connects people to that, especially in blues. Like, that's, people love blues, right? So if you can somehow draw a connection between that, then that creates an affinity. And so some folks would literally just want to do that to get, can I get free tickets? Sure, you know, sponsorship, give us $5,000 or whatever your pricing is. I'll give you free tickets for $5,000, no worries though. What is your pricing points for the sponsorship?
So we have a custom-based model, essentially. So it's not tiers anymore.
Right.
It's not like gold, silver, bronze. It's more of a, let's see what your budget is, and then we'll work around your budget. Now, I will do like a minimum, maybe no less than like 5,000, 10,000, like that. But instead of a, you know, package, you know, because those don't necessarily work that well.
Yeah.
Gold, silver, bronze, you know, because it's just like a one size fits all, and you want them to feel important, right?
Yeah, exactly. And is that on a series of concerts, or is it just one singular concert?
Say that one more time.
Is it on like a series of concerts? So if I'm a business owner, I say here's $10,000, make me feel special, and you're like, okay, cool, you know, all your labels and logos and stuff everywhere. Is it just one concert, or like would I get a series of concerts, or how does that side of things work?
Good question. We could discuss it. Right now, we've done 4 this year already. So technically, this would have been our last concert. Right, but we've gotten some calls. They want us to do another one for this year. So I'm thinking if we do the next one for this year, then I definitely want to put some sponsors in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And most of them most concerts we do a year out planning. So I do know that we have 2 concerts for next year lined up.
Awesome. So. And did you say 25,000 or 2,500? Like, what's the average kind of like attendance?
So usually our average is 4,000. This particular one was a little on the lower end, which I'm also kind of glad we did not have sponsors, because it was so drastic in what our normal numbers were. That I'm kind of glad we did, you know. And this year we've never done anything in August. I don't know if you're not in the States, but it is smoldering here.
Really? Yeah.
So thankfully it was an inside event, but most people was like, hey, is it inside?
Yeah.
You know, they can pause it inside. If it's not inside, I'm not coming. You know, so that was a difference for us, because it's right around the time where all the kids go back to school. And so I don't know that we necessarily factored in all the factors when we put the show in this particular month. But,
right.
You know.
So I'm thinking of a few different angles here. One of them is like churches, just because it's that whole promotion of like safe communities and stuff like that, and that would have a flow-on effect for the churches as well. Like, obviously, you know, I would assume some churches have a budget for certain things. And so therefore it promotes that kind of like clean living, you know, just go and listen to blues and be awesome and like, you know, whatever it is, right? Hopefully, so I'm not really articulating myself well here, but you hopefully sort of understand the angle I'm kind of going at with it, where you like attach the sense of community to it, if that makes sense. So then like maybe you can get schools on board. I know locally, at least anyway, we have often there's certain schools that will, like especially the private schools, will sponsor different events and things like that. So yeah, connection to the music itself, I think that would be a powerful angle to take. I don't know how you really get that out there other than just with your approach, I guess. Community-based stuff, and I'm just thinking the promotion of like just healthy cultural stuff, I guess. What else? Yeah, and then diving into the demographic data, because if you say, let's say there's 4,000 folks there, and then also the musicians, of course, as well. Like if it's blues festival, I'm guessing there's more than one musician there, and so therefore you can kind of leverage the clout that they have as well, and so therefore that then also creates a connection to it as well. Like, wouldn't you like to be in front of not only 4,000 or 8,000 people over the course of this, but these are by demographic. This is the average age group of them, and not only that, you also get backstage passes to see XYZ along the way as well. Meet the band or something, I don't know.
Okay.
Oh, another one. If you got budget for it, you could run a. Oh, here's what you do. Okay. Speaking of, I used to run ads, like I say, but there's something called a geofence, and basically where you take the surrounding suburbs of the arena, the event area, whatever it is, and basically you do like literally just a $2 per day. Wouldn't really need much, maybe even $1 a day, to be honest, between now and then. Just looking to go into probably just Messenger would be fine. You don't even need a funnel for it, and it's just basically like, hey, blah blah blah, concerts coming up, interested in getting your name, your business in front of thousands. Thanks, Ted, appreciate you tuning in, everyone. Yeah, want to get your name in front of thousands, here's how, like, send us a message, blah blah blah. So now this is probably a little bit better than the cold calling thing, because now you're actually picking up warm leads. I don't know why I didn't think of that to start with.
Okay. And you said geofence?
Yeah, I was just trying to sound fancy, but all it is just you put in the postcodes, and it basically just will like exclude the neighboring suburb, if that makes sense. So, but you can just, like with Facebook, you could literally just drop a pin, and it just has a radius around that. So if you know, okay, roughly 5 miles, 10 miles, whatever it is, that's how far I want my ads to be shown around that venue. And so therefore, even people that are driving through, they might be like, oh, that's cool, I've got a business doing XYZ, I wonder if that works. And especially if, like, don't worry about a funnel or anything fancy, just literally you can get them to message your Facebook page. And it just means that you need to be sort of on top of either create a little sequence of some kind, like a messaging sequence, which is not super hard to do, or alternatively, you just check it once or twice a day, see if anyone's messaged you. And it might be a bit of a slow burn, like you might find that it will take a while to pick up. But you can even do things like, oh, actually, no, I don't think you can do that anymore. I was going to say, you can even say in the ad, like, tag a business that would get benefit from this or something, but I'm pretty sure you can't do that. But yeah, even something like that. You just probably need to go through the terms and conditions. To be fair, sadly, I haven't run a Facebook ad for quite a long time. It's been about 3-4 years now, but that used to work really well for local businesses. Okay. Just to create that awareness. And then you can even get like sound bites and different things if you're allowed to, of I'm guessing you probably got footage from the from it, so even like a little clip here and there, and like especially if you got any clips of like the crowd screaming and it looks like there's thousands of people like screaming in the crowd, like, you show little snippets of that, and then you basically show that to those folks. And it might, like I say, it might take a little while, but you really wouldn't need a huge budget, about $2 per day, and just leave that running, and then you'll pick up inbound inquiries, and then you make tons of cash and you'll be really thankful. Hopefully.
Thank you.
No worries. I think scrap everything I said apart from that. I think that's probably the easiest way. Sorry, I probably should have dug in a little bit more with the questioning first before. I was like, oh, you use Mailshare, you do that, which would also work, by the way. But I think this is just it's a cleaner way of going about it. Yeah.
Thank you.
No worries. What else is happening, folks? What else you guys got on? Anything? No worries. GC. Hey, Scott. How goes it? We're just all sitting here in an awkward silence just as soon as you arrived. No, this is a very casual session, so if anyone's got any questions or yeah, good question. I hadn't thought that far ahead. I didn't even know if I was going to record this, but I'm glad that I did. Yeah, I don't know. Whoever's been in attendance, I'll put up a post and you guys can just go and have a look at it. I'll probably just put it on my YouTube channel, I think, or something. But yeah, if anyone's got any questions or anything that they want me to dive into at all, obviously I've done some weird and wonderful things. So if it's affiliate marketing, awesome. If it's not, absolutely awesome still. Hey, Cody. Maybe I just sit here all day doing this. Work away. People just come and jump in and ask questions and that's okay. We're here for the next 15 hours anyway, so it's fine. Yes, engagement, but unable to get any sales yet. It might be going wrong. Yeah, it's usually just an authority thing. And so authority is obviously it's the trickiest part to create when you're starting out, because you don't have it. Basically, you need to like develop it. And I guess the thing is, like, posting content is cool, but people can get information from anywhere, right? If you think about it, like they can jump online, YouTube, Facebook, Pinterest, TikTok, like there's just so much information that it is ridiculous. And so the thing that needs to happen as part of you creating that information, like the value posts and things like that, is you need to give people a reason to listen to your stuff. And that is usually based on authority. It's also based on just like personality and stuff, generally speaking. So which can happen from the depth of relationship you build with people, and that is usually based on consistency, and I guess just being yourself as well, which I know it's really hard, but you know, I joke around. I don't take myself very seriously at all, which is maybe a good or bad thing. I'm not too sure yet. But then it also means that from a branding perspective, if I was to dissect myself for a second, I've got some authority because I've done some stuff and you know, whatever. But then I would like to believe I'm quite approachable because I'm not like super aggressive or whatever, and I take the piss out of myself all the time, and so I think people like that, and I think I'm funny, so therefore, and so what I suggest is with the authority stuff in particular, like if you're giving people a reason to listen to you, and that is, it doesn't have to be monetary gain either. I'm not saying like, hey, I've made $1 trillion online, and you know that's why you should listen to me. But it comes back to things like, you know, the simple process that's allowed me to scale or grow my group to my first 50 members in less than 3 weeks. The want to check out the simple process I've been using to get daily inbound leads. And if you want daily inbound leads, it's really simple. Just when you're on your little old device over here, you take a duck face, do your little selfie thing, and you put on it the poll option in stories. Like, would you like my free content guide? Would you like the free lead generation guide? They say yes. You say, okay, cool. That is an inbound lead, because then you can directly message them in Messenger. And it's because they've like metaphorically raised their hand, you now got something to go off. So it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy, because then you're like, oh, okay, hey, you know, thanks so much. Like, really appreciate the engagement. I always ask, were you helping with engagement, or did you want some info on what I'm doing? Because a lot of the time people just like pressing buttons and things like that. And so doing that, excuse me, sorry. Repeating that and doing that type of stuff means that you then have something to talk about, which isn't just like, hey, here's how to hypothetically do this thing over here. It's like, here's how I was able to generate leads. And then you can talk about it implicitly as well, which is really cool. So what I mean by that is one of the reasons why I've been able to consistently generate leads is because of XYZ, because I jumped on this chat with Jamie one time and I asked him, and he gave me the secret sauce. So if you're able to do that, that would work really well. And that means that it becomes this like cyclical thing. And because you're promoting BAM, I mean, it's a $5 offer, right? And so I always say, obviously the goal for everyone, sorry, not everyone, for a lot of people is to sell a high ticket item, you know, 1,000, 5,000, 12,000, whatever, right? But I guess the thing is that most of us, like, it's not a natural conversation to have a sales dynamic. And so a lot of the time, people, because if they have to sell something, they experience like a cognitive dissonance. Something happens emotionally for them, and they don't feel like they can metaphorically pull the trigger on a like 5K offer, a 10K offer, because it's so far beyond what we've had to do before, and it feels uncomfortable. Like, hey, almost stranger, do you want to check out this thing for like a couple $1,000? And so because of that, I'm glad I make one person laugh. Thank you, I appreciate that. But because of that, we then put out a different energy, right? We start throwing something out because we are nervous about like, oh, like what if they say yes? What if they say no? Oh my God. And so there's all these things that go through our mind. And so what I say, which is probably quite counterintuitive, is like, start with where your comfort zone is. And so hence with BAM, it's $5, right? So most of us don't feel like too stressed out about going, well, it's the price of a cup of coffee. I'm pretty sure that's international as well. So it's the price of a cup of coffee, like, might not be for you. There's a refund policy in place. Do you want to check it out? Right. And so therefore, like, if you do that 20 times, guaranteed, because it converts about 15% anyway. So guaranteed you're going to make a sale if you've got a rapport with your leads. So then you make a sale, and then guess what? It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, because then you leverage that. Like, hey, now I've got a notification in my emails, finally get paid out once we figure that part out for you. And then you've actually got proof of concept. And so that builds your confidence. And quite literally, the gap from going, okay, I've smashed like 5 to 10 low ticket sales, or 20 or whatever it is, I'm pretty good. I can get the handle of this, to then all of a sudden take that next leap and go, all right, well, hey, I got this thing, it's high ticket, it's awesome. This is what you're going to get, it's really cool. Do you want to check it out? And all of a sudden, because you're more confident in it, you're actually more detached. You don't really mind if they say no, because you're like, well, at least it's out there. And then, thanks, JC, appreciate you hopping on. And then because of that, you'll sell some stuff. But then the other part of it is, sorry, I know I'm talking around the circles here. Welcome to my world. If you are selling something and you're getting 100% commission for a $5 thing, and you do that over and over and over and over and over again, and you build that confidence, and all of a sudden you start to create, I'm going to sound really woo-woo here for a second, but you start to create an energy around yourself. And I've seen it play out both in my own business, but for my students, for other people that I've seen in the industry as well. You can kind of create this like crazy energy, because then you're so excited about everything. You're so confident, like, yeah, this is cool. Like, yeah, $5 here, $5 there, blah, blah. And so because of that, that builds and builds and builds. And then those people that you've sold for the $5 thing, if they've had a positive buying experience from you, and they're like, hey, so that is he's my dude. I like this guy. He's awesome. And whatever he's just sold me is amazing. And I've got so much value out of this thing. Then the LTV, which is a very important metric to understand, lifetime customer value, that starts to expand, because some of those people, you can go back into conversation with, hey, so how do you find the training? Yeah, it's good. Awesome. Any questions for it? Yeah, how do I do XYZ? Yeah, well, that's a great question. Here's how you do that. By the way, I was just wondering, did you have any plans moving forward? Like, obviously, in order to achieve your financial goals, you probably need a little bit more training. Yeah, I do actually. Cool. Would you be opposed to checking out this offer that I've got here? This is sort of what I'm doing with my students moving forward. Might not be the right thing for you, but like, have a read through this. Let me know if you've got any questions. Okay, sounds good. Okay, here you go. And then you do that with the 10 to 20 people that you've sold, and magically, who'd have thunk it, there'll be at least 2 to 3 people that buy your high ticket thing, just purely by metrics. And if they don't, that's kind of cool, because you've got that relationship. They'll say, no, thanks, not for me. It's a financial thing. Hey, no worries at all. Really appreciate it. Thanks so much. Like, stick around. I'm going to have some awesome training coming up, blah, 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 right? And so when you do that, and then you understand that that's all I need to do. It's actually really simple. Just increase the lifetime customer value, because every time you solve one problem in business, it's going to represent a new problem that arises, right? So, like, for example, and I'm so sorry, but am I pronouncing your name right when I say, is it Asia? Okay, thank you. So like her, she sells some sponsorships, and then let's say it's 10K, for example. Nice. And then the next problem that is going to result from that is like, how do I keep them on board? Okay, better nurture that relationship a little bit. And so, that's going to represent a new problem. The same thing with the low ticket up to the high ticket, it's going to represent a new problem. I, for example, have new problems in my business as well, where I'm trying to like simplify everything, trying to reduce down almost everything I do. And then I want to scale my business dramatically. So therefore I have to figure out how do I do that. So that's my problem at the moment. And then once I get to that next level, there'll be a new problem to solve, right? So anyway, that was an incredibly long answer to a very small question. Does that help?
Yes, Chairman.
So to condense it down, just work on your authority and you'll be fine. Just make sure you got plenty of lead flow as well. That's the other thing, because I think a lot of people, they just put out content and stuff, and they're just kind of like, why am I selling anything? It's like, well, how many offers have you put out? None. Okay. How many people have seen your offer? Well, none. Okay, well, get some eyeballs on it, and then be able to analyze what's going on.
So basically, what I understood from what you said is, please correct me if I'm wrong. I need to come up with some free stuff, maybe checklists, PDF, etc., and offer it to people. Is that what you're saying, to build my authority?
Doesn't have to be, but yeah, for sure. I mean, if you want to create a lead magnet, absolutely cool. Like, if you've got something that can help, and for example, it might be from BAN, perhaps it might be something in that you're like, oh, this is pretty cool. I'm not saying like give away all the stuff inside BAN. I'm saying like leverage the information that you now have that is going to solve a problem for someone. So, and it could be anything. It could be like, here's how to create a Canva banner to attract your ideal audience. here's how to audit your own profile to make sure that you're not doing anything silly and representing yourself how you want to be represented, whatever it is. Like that could be it. Could be like a little Loom video where you go through and do an audit of someone's profile, and it's just like, hey, you know, this is, they could probably adjust that. That would work better if they did that. You know, make sure there's no photos or videos of your former self and your party days, things like that. That's what I had to do, clean up all that, make myself look professional. Yeah, so like that could be a lead magnet. I guess I say that because you can create a lead magnet out of anything, but it doesn't need to be a lead magnet necessarily. It could just be doing really simple things like, okay, how do I get an inbound lead? And like I say, just jump on your stories, do it, take a photo of some stuff, and you know, that could be creating leads off the back of that. It could be, it doesn't even need to be that. You could set up a group and you could have some free coaching, or you could have, for example, like a Zoom call, kind of what we're doing now. And you could have on your stories, you could say, want to check out my free, the free training I just put in my Facebook group covering the XYZ process I used to get my first inbound lead. So it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And so then people like hit the voting button, they're like, yippee, me. You're like, sweet. And then they jump in, and then now you've got like proof of concept. Hey, what's up, Jen? How you doing?
Hey.
Nice to see you. Yeah, and then all of a sudden you got folks jumping in there, and then now you've got inbound leads, now you've got group growth, so you've got additional things to talk about. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does, Jamie. And I do not have a Facebook group. Need to start one soon.
Highly recommend it. They're an absolute goldmine. They do take a bit of management, but
Yes.
it's worth
Yes, it does take a lot of work, and I should be ready to put in the work required. Do you also suggest this messenger chat groups? I see many people come up with those instead of actually Facebook groups.
Yeah, I'm laughing at that one because yeah, I've seen them pop up, and I try to avoid them like the plague, to be honest. And that is just, that's not against them. I think that if I had a smaller community, that would be absolutely ideal. Like I could create you could just be really involved with your audience, and you could basically build a tribe around yourself. And that's kind of the idea with groups, but I don't have the time capacity or energy capacity, more importantly, to do that. So if you build a group, and I think this might be the play as well, just for folks, and kind of talking about some of the sort of esoteric stuff that I was mentioning before. Like if you went, okay, I'm going to build a group of like 20 amazing humans, and they have to be like interested in the same stuff, and hopefully we all get along and everything. And then you put them in a group or a chat or whatever it is, doesn't much of a muchness at this point. And instead of like thinking, how can I make money out of this? How can I get them to buy some of my stuff? If you took the different approach, which is like, I wonder if as I go through this pathway and I learn some stuff, I wonder if I can help a few people out with this as well. I wonder if like there's something I can do just to help out. And what happens is, especially if you've already invested in other trainings, things like that, and even if you don't mention anything whatsoever about the other trainings that you've got, or you just happen to mention it casually, what happens is if you're helping folks out, there's going to be a subset of those people that are going to want the additional help. And so therefore, just naturally, they're going to go, hey, so what's this thing that you got? Oh yeah, it's a $5 program. It's, you know, it teaches you all about things, blah, blah, the affiliate marketing stuff, how to avoid mistakes here, how to do that. It's pretty cool. You know, I invested in it. Highly recommend it if you're interested. Also, if you did want a product, well, it actually pays 100% commission. Really? Yeah. Have a read through the page. I mean, it might not be for you, but who knows? Here you go. And then people are like, okay. And then like literally there'll be at least some of those folks. And then even if you get like, if you had a little group of 20, and like I say, you were just helping them out with stuff and just being present in the community, and then you get 1 or 2 people jumping in, and then you celebrate them jumping in, like congratulations to blah, 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 who's you know, bit the bullet and jumped into this thing, then it creates this, man, I sound like I'm so manipulative. I swear I'm not. I just happen to know all this stuff. But like, it creates an us and them type mentality. And so therefore it's like, there's now a sense of exclusivity about those 2 out of the 20 people that you're helping that have jumped into this thing, right? And it doesn't matter if it's a $5 BAM or like a high ticket, it doesn't matter. It's the same psychology plays out where it's like, oh, what is that? Is it good? Oh, do I need this? And so then because of the FOMO factor, then other people will naturally go into it. And so therefore you'll all of a sudden, out of the 20 folks that you've hand selected that you've been helping out with a pure, very detached sense about this, not trying to like actively sell them like, hey, you should buy this thing right now. Like just relax, just chilled out, but have an intention to see whether or not this thing is going to be the right thing for them. And if you do that, you'll start making sales. And then you have the confidence to go, okay, well, I wonder if I can do this with the high ticket stuff as well. You know, sell some high ticket stuff. There we go. This game is super easy.
Right. Thanks, Jamie. Thanks a lot.
No worries. The trick is to, and I know I've spoken really fast, I've probably given 1,000 ideas, but the trick is to not overthink this stuff and just hop off this call and deploy it straight away. Go, okay, I'm going to go start my group. Just the skeleton of the group doesn't need to be perfect. Don't overthink it. Like, little story for you guys. I have something that I call the 3-minute rule when it comes to Canva. Whereas if I'm spending more than 3 minutes to create a logo, then it's something that I need to outsource, or I shouldn't be doing. Like, I don't need to spend months doing it. And once I started deploying that rule, all my programs, all the logos from those 3 minutes, that's it. I'll just be like, template, change colors, add some stuff in there, looks kind of roughly in line, or I hope, yep, okay, let's go with it. Because it's not the important part, it's more just the action of doing it rather than like thinking about doing it, if that makes sense. Cool. These are fun. I like this. Paris has got stuff for me.
So what did I miss? I mean, I don't want you to go through all of it again, right? But I just got home not too long ago and I was like, oh my goodness, let me check and see that link, because I still wasn't sure of the exact time, right?
Yeah, I love to trick people with this crazy time zone down here.
Yeah. So I was just like, I told him I'm getting off at 6:30, so I'm thinking it's around that time.
Well, I appreciate you hopping on. How do I start from the beginning? I don't know. It's just, well, I've said a lot of things.
Well, we're meeting on Sunday anyway, so
yeah, for sure. I can't wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's been a lot, but like, if there's any questions or anything, anything you'd like me to discuss, I can kind of ramble on about close to anything at the stage, marketing related.
No, I just saw that post about I actually read it this time about the shell. I thought that was pretty interesting.
Oh, the escargot.
Yeah. And my pastor always says, like, you go from one level to the next. Like when you reach your plateau, don't stop. There's more, and that's how I kind of saw that. It's just like, I'm just not going to sit at one place. I'm going to continue to strive to go up.
Yeah, 100%. Because that's the thing. Like, I had this false belief long time ago. These silly old things. But I had this false belief that I thought, once bearing in mind, I was financially hard up for a very, very, very long time, went bankrupt and stuff like that. And so I had this belief that if I make 10 grand, then life will be brilliant from that point on, and all my issues would be resolved. And of course, obviously very naive, but we are taught these lessons for a reason, I guess, right? And so I get to that point, I'm like, yeah, go me. I'm like, it's the richest I've ever felt. It was the first high ticket sale I ever made. Actually, it was just tears of joy. It was just incredible. But then when that happened and things started taking off, I was like, oh, but I still have issues, like my internal dialogue is still doing what it used to do. That's weird. Like, I still have insecurities and I'm like self-doubt. What is that? I thought it was meant to disappear at this point. What the hell? So then I learned that there's just levels, just different problems that you have to resolve for yourself. And but it's fun though. I enjoy it.
That's awesome. Yeah.
What are you working on?
Well, I don't know what I was gonna say. I don't know what I missed, so I don't really have any questions. I do have some specifically for our meeting on Sunday, though. So,
okay.
Yeah, I'll save those for them.
Oh, I'm nervous now.
Don't be nervous.
Always feels like when someone says that, I'm like, is it going to be like an interrogation? Why did you do that? Oh, I don't know why I did that. I'm sorry. Like,
Not at all. Not at all. I want to pick your brain.
awesome.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
I'll make sure I'm well caffeinated and that my brain
Yes.
is in good functioning order.
Please do. Make sure your belly is full.
Well, you end up napping if that's the case.
Yep.
Cool. So I'll throw it out to the audience because we have a lot of very quiet people here. So what's everyone working on? What would you? And I know this is probably a hard thing. Like I've been on the other side of this, and someone said, "Hey, what questions do you have?" And you're like, but like anything you want me to chat about. Content, sales, marketing, offer creation, psychology, woo-woo stuff.
come on. So for me, it's always the same thing. It's always focus and clarity. Because I feel, and I just read something with Alex Hermosa. He said, look, one avatar, one product, one channel. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But it's even hearing him say that, I still am like, but what about all the other 4 that I've already started growing? What am I supposed to do? You know, for me, because I'm in the sponsorship space and I've invested money into that, like 10 grand of, you know, so like that needs to work, right?
Yeah.
Because that's the business and it's not just my money, this the business money. So that needs to work. So I want that, but I really enjoy the connection of marketing that I get with affiliate marketing.
Yeah.
And the warmness of affiliate marketing. And so that's my disconnect. And I'm like, oh, I don't know, because I know for me, I'm thinking sponsorship side, that needs to be LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
But affiliate side, that needs to be Facebook. But I also know that the connections you get on Facebook could potentially be some of the sponsorship. I don't know. That's why I'm kind of torn.
I will tell you a little story. This is very, I am going somewhere that's very relevant. It's not just about me and my stories, but what happened was for many, many years, I assumed that if something wasn't working for me in fairly rapid succession, like 3 to 6 months, I'm like, it doesn't work. And so I would go, oh, there must be an easy way. And so then I would go in search of the new thing, and I'd go do the new thing. So it meant that for about 7.5 years, I have got a ton of knowledge, and I've tried so many things. It's ridiculous. I've sold mugs and t-shirts and, you know, CPA marketing and Kindle and FBA and like, you name it. There's just have multiple Shopify stores. I even sold jewelry. I don't know anything about jewelry. That was actually one of the few successes I had. I sold jewelry online for some reason and sold that site, and it did okay. But other than that, you know, complete failure the whole time. And then what happened was when I met my very good friend and mentor, Jacob Karras, in March 2019, I had this philosophy where I was like, I'm going to be an affiliate. So I just made the decision, I'm going to do this thing. And even though I'd been doing it in the background for years anyway, it wasn't like I really had changed, but I was like, I need to kind of take control of what I'm doing. I'm like, okay, I'm going to build a personal brand, because even though I find it very uncomfortable, I know it's still the quickest and most efficient pathway for me to build a successful business. I'm like, okay, cool, do this. And so I was everywhere. I was like trying to be on Instagram. I was answering questions on Quora. I was writing blog articles on medium.com, like freaking everything. And it was insane. And I was like, yeah, it's cool. Like, and I just thought, I'm just going to keep going. I'm like the Terminator. I'm just going to keep hustling until something like is going to work. And it didn't. And it was like, oh, this is so really annoying. So what had happened is, effectively, I was so attached to these things that I was doing because I put so much mental and creative energy into them. And I found it very hard to let go. And I realized that was kind of just my ego going, dude, like, you just don't want to be wrong. Like, you don't want to admit that you you're wrong, or you don't want to like lose the effort and energy that you put into that. And so when I got rid of all that stuff and I just like went, okay, fine, I'll focus on one offer, one method of conversion, one platform. I was like, fine, whatever. And then literally I just was like, okay, cool, and just did it in a very relaxed way. And then 7 days later, I had my first high ticket sale. I'm like, all this time, 7 days, are you kidding me? 7 days. And it changed my life. It really did, because like that, I'd gone from being so broke for so long, that one high ticket sale was just like, and it just unlocked this new level of my brain. I'm like, and started crying. It was like the richest I've ever felt was my first high ticket sale. It was about 13, I can remember very specifically, 1,344 Australian dollars, $1,000 US. So I'm like, oh my God, it's amazing. Oh. And then I kind of unlocked this level in my brain. I'm like, oh, okay. And so I had not just heard the lesson, I felt the lesson at that point. And I was like, ah. And then I reflected on what had happened. And I was like, yeah, okay, my ego was attached to that thing. And I just didn't want to, fine, you win. And then, but I still go through that habit. Even now, like I still go through this cycle where every couple of months I will go, how about I add another 35 things to my plate? Here's a new platform, I'll try this, I'll go into threads now. And then I'm like, I get exhausted because I'm like freaking content everywhere. And what am I doing? And then my brain falls apart because I can't concentrate. And so then I have to learn this lesson. So then I go back to the drawing board and go, okay, well, I don't have $1 million in the bank yet. So like, why don't I just take my own advice that I have lived through now on multiple occasions, rather than trying to reinvent the wheel every time Jamie, you know what happens every time you go do this. So in your situation, I think clearly you've got an existing business entity with the concerts, right? So I would, and I understand the affiliate stuff it feels like it's quite appealing because it's just the exchange of information, which is can be highly leveraged, things like that. But I'd probably just stick with the sponsorship stuff, to be fair. I think that's the pathway.
Okay.
That would be my vote. Or just pick one. And if you don't want to do that, then just pick one. But I think if you've invested in that, it's probably the best way for you to go. That would be my take on it.
Okay. It just seems like it would take so long, I guess, is my thought process. Like you said, because it's a business, right? So like business to business, and it could go from 10,000 could be the lowest, it could be up to 100,000, right? But there would be the talking, the back and forth about, the deals and stuff like that. So I guess that's my only hold up with that one, I guess.
Let's do some corporate espionage over here. Little ninja hack for you guys.
Okay.
Library. This may completely backfire on me, and so I might look like an absolute idiot, but let's just try something. So I'm going to share my screen real quick and I'll show you guys something. So just for context for anyone that's tuning in, one of the things I suggested to Asia, is it I feel some reason I feel like I'm not pronouncing it right, but anyway, I'm sorry.
Asia, like the continent.
Like the continent. Okay, cool. I thought it just looked like that, but then I was like, I just doubted myself. Anyway, so for context, she's doing sponsorship stuff, as in she's got sounds like a really cool concert I would actually love to attend at some point, but got a series of concerts, I guess, and is looking for sponsorship for that. And so therefore, the advice was to cold call, and yeah, that would work. And then I said, okay, we'll try like cold emailing first to see if you can get a warm lead in. And then I thought, oh, hang on a minute, Jamie, you used to do advertising. One of the things you used to do is basically create a kind of like a radius around the business and then just look at like getting inbound leads that way. And so now we're doing some corporate espionage. And so this is free. I will put it in here. It's just Facebook ad library. You can just Google it, Facebook ad library, free for everyone to use. Where's this guy? If you ever want to like look at what people are doing. Sorry. Oops. How do we? Oh yeah. There we go. Right. So 7 years. My goodness, that's crazy. So what we can do now, I have no idea and you might need to help me with this one, but if you can think of any similar businesses that are doing similar things, and what we can do is we can actually see if they have something similar to reverse engineer, basically. So let's go to the United States. Is there any
I guess the most notable one would probably be like on a large scale, like a Live Nation.
so what they might not like me because I'm trying to look at ads in a different country, perhaps. Should be okay though, in theory. Okay, so these are obviously more for related to the actual, like, and this through Ticketmaster as well. So these are more related to the people that are attending the concert itself. One too fast. I wonder. Serious? Okay, it doesn't like me. Okay, so this might, like I said, might have backfired, but effectively, I'm sure there will be other businesses that are doing something similar. And even if purely just to get attendees to the actual why are you doing this? Attendees to the actual concert itself, you might be able to have a look at the format that they're using, things like that. All right, one more time, and then I'm going to specifically under the. Okay, there we go. Nation concerts. They'll probably be running many ads, so I'd say by the sound of it. 1100. My goodness. Grab tickets to the front right. Okay. Yeah, they're all selling tickets. That's okay though. Interesting. There we go. This is kind of it here. Something like a VIP thing. Down live service info. Okay, so just clicking straight through to that, and now it's let that disappear. Go to add details. So it's just a really super straightforward ad. Bit of a video, literally just straight to the buy tickets thing. Now, what you could do though is I don't know how you normally have your ticket sales process go. Like if you've already got an existing site, you can send that over to the like if you've got like a sponsorship type page there. But what I'd probably be looking at is to engage the user. And so there's an option, and you would have seen them that just says like message us for details. And so if you've got like a sponsorship package, that might be one, and that would have your demographic details, or sounds like you're a little bit more bespoke with this. So in that case, I'll just say something like, you know, message us for info, and then you just go back and forth, and you'd instantly, if they're messaging from page, you just have like a little thing, cool, can you just tell us a little bit about your business? I'm happy to share what we've got going on. And that means that you're doing most of it via Messenger anyway, which would be pretty easy. And then if you wanted to bridge to a call, it's like, look, this is probably easier. You know, my thumbs are getting tired. Like, how about we hop on a 15-minute call and I can explain exactly what we've got going on. You can work out whether or not this is going to be something that's going to be suitable for your business, and we can go from there. I'll go, yeah, okay, cool. Hey, what's up? Yeah, I think that'd be the way to go. And like I say, you could probably run an ad like that. Yeah, it'll probably be, I think about $2 per day, you'll probably be able to get away with it. And that would just mean that it's just going to keep showing to those residents over and over and over and over again.
So it's kind of like retargeting, kind of?
Yeah. What you can even do is, if you recall before, I was saying, like, take clippets of some of the concerts that have been there, and if with permission, because I think there might be some like copyright laws and things like that. So just probably want to be a bit careful about that stuff. But then what you can do is run a video ad to the general area, and then like, or even if it's just nothing on it, just like, you know, here's whatever the venue is called, and it's just like you show a series of really funky clips with amazing stuff happening and people like having a great time and clapping and like creating that sense of energy with you know, and some music and different things like that. Then people like, we like that type of stuff naturally as humans, so we like celebration and stuff, so we're often drawn to it. And then you basically take that as your retargeting audience, and then on the back of that say, you can even say register for our upcoming events or be notified of our upcoming events, start building your email list that way. You could even go, you know, hey, for sponsorship, to get your local business in front of thousands of concert goers, you know, send us a message or something like that. That'd be the other way to do it. And then you've got that data, so that would be basically, you'd have, say, the video ad running, and we used to call this a carpet bomb. And so the way that it would work is you'd have like actually, let me show you. It was probably my most effective strategy I ever used for Facebook ads ever. And I'm still angry at Facebook for not allowing me to run ads anymore. I'll just show you really quickly.
Why did they stop you?
It's a really good question. I couldn't honestly tell you. They went through I don't know. I was always very compliant. I mean, I had to be, because I was running ads on behalf of clients, and so therefore I was very frustrated when that happened. I was not the only one. I think it's almost like when you have been running ads for a while, and Facebook is almost like a rite of passage to go through, where you get banished to the dark ages.
Yeah.
But effectively, the way the strategy would work, the carpet bomb, is if you have a video and it's roughly about 60 seconds, it could be longer, it really doesn't matter, but and I guess actually it could work better if it's longer, come to think of it, but whatever, at least sort of like 30 to 60 seconds. Now, here's the crazy thing with Facebook. You can go people that have seen 3 seconds, and this might have changed, by the way, I don't know, and it used to be like 15 seconds, 30 seconds, blah blah blah, and actually no, sorry, first 3 seconds, 15 seconds, and then I think after that it went to percentages. So it was like 50% views, 25%, 75%, 95% and stuff. Now, crazy thing is, if someone's only seen 3 seconds of a video, it means that they've gone, oh no, not for me, and they've moved on, basically, right? So therefore, that audience is like dismissing itself already. But if someone's intrigued by it and they're like watching 50% or 75%, then they're like really, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, because they're really engaged in that piece of content. And so then if you build your retargeting audience off that, and it might only be like 1,000 people, it doesn't even matter, like it could be a couple hundred. And then you just have like a really super low $1 a day type retargeting ad going, hey, you know, basically, because I've already seen the video and I already know, oh wow, this concert venue is awesome. Then hey, contact us now to get your local business in front of more eyeballs. And they'll be like, oh, okay, that sounds pretty cool. And then some of them, because it's especially if it's Messenger, it's a very relaxed approach. There's no kind of like harsh, like, hey, I'm going to hard sell you into this thing. It's just real chilled out. And because of that, people will probably step forward and probably be quite interested in that, I'd say. So yeah.
I like it. Thank you. Perfect.
Hope that helps. Sounds like you got a lot on, Crystal. Crystal, you showed your face before you're about to say something. I sense you're about to tell us something.
Hey,
How you doing?
Jamie. I'm good. I saw your link. I was like, I gotta hop on and see what Jamie is about and how he teaches as well. So yeah, I'll give you a little debrief of what I do. I'm an Amazon seller and I plan to affiliate. Well, I actually started doing some affiliate sales, but right now, when Aisha was talking about like the focus, I was like, oh my God, that is me right now, just kind of like everywhere. And I think a big part of it is wanting to be exactly comparing myself and wanting to be like everywhere. And it actually creates more procrastination and more of me wanting to hide away. But so hence why I'm dropping on into this coaching. Yeah. And it's such a mind game because I have already started selling and I have already started attracting some clients, but I'm literally stopping myself here. And oh my God, it's like here, it's a hard place to be.
Yep. So you're yeah. I've been through this many times. I've actually got a student that's going through this at the moment. It's basically where you start, and because you don't know all the answers, you're just kind of like doing what you're told and what you think is the right thing based on the training. You're like, cool, I'm doing it. And then you find something works and you get a bit of success and you're like, cool, I've started making sales. And then on the other side of that, then you start to doubt that if the gap between your last sale and now, if that starts to widen, that like your confidence dies, right? Like you're like, oh, did I fluke it? Was that, am I a fraud? Am I apostle? Like, should I stop doing that? Maybe I should go to another platform. Is that, and so then, and you start to overthink every step because like, instead of just like going with it, you kind of like, how do I replicate that? I mean, what content was I putting out at that time? And what energy did I have at that time? And we all go through it, by the way. Like I say, I've got a student that's kind of going through that stuff at the moment, where came out with a hiss and a roar, absolutely smashed it first like 90 days. And then of course, after that point, started like overthinking things like, well, now what? Like, how did I actually do that? I didn't even know how I made all those sales. Like, which then leads to overthinking, which then leads to procrastination, which leads to inertia. And then you're sitting there just going, I've been staring at my computer and I've been picking up my phone needlessly every 3 seconds because it's distracting and I don't really know what to write. And oh, what was me? So yeah, I feel like I'm on the money, right? That's roughly accurate.
You're in my head for sure.
Been there many times. So that's the problem. Okay, we've found the problem, so that's cool. What the hell is the solution? And the solution is actually it is quite a simple thing, and it basically means you just need to go back to the drawing board. And I don't mean like start again, like delete all your accounts and start again. I mean just go back to what's the simple thing, what's like the 3 to 5 things I need to do every day that is going to help propel my business forward the fastest. And then when you do that, because I think what's happening is you're probably focusing on the outcomes. You're probably focusing on, yeah, but I need the sale, I need the money, right? And because it's fun, it's like, who doesn't love when a big sale lands? It's nice. But then because of the focus on the outcomes, it then creates a deficit between where your conscious is now and where that outcome actually is. So the trick is to go back to what you can control, because you can't control as amazing as it would be. If we were all like incredible salespeople, it would be amazing if we just like hopped on one of these and everyone just starts buying our stuff, right? But it's not the reality. But what we can control is the inputs. So we can control how many people am I going to chat to? How many offers am I going to put in front of people? What is my energy state at the moment? You have some level of control over that. how many leads can I get in, and how much value can I give to those people? And that's kind of the things you can control. So, for example, like how have you acquired clients previously? How have the people sort of closed themselves?
Just share my journey online, and then people started talking to me. That's it. So
That's beautiful. That's
now,
perfect.
yeah, I'm not sure. And when you mention about being more intentional and control what I can control, I definitely think I'm more outcome oriented, and like a big part of me, even if I have nothing to say, I will still post something up just so that people will kind of like, I don't know, the algorithm will work, but it's really not aligning for my energy. I don't know. And it has not been working.
Yeah.
So
I get that, because you've gone from it being like a fun thing because you were so hopeful, and you're hopeful and enjoying the journey, because you're like, well, this is new, I'm creating this content. Oh, I think I like this one. Yeah, okay, I'll put that out there, and it works. So people are inspired. Like, that's cool. And so, and then when you start making sales, that's often when the pressure is put on, because then you're like, oh, okay, now how do I repeat that? And so then you sometimes can create like almost like a fear around that, which then, like you say, it creates this sort of space where you become very attached to the outcome, rather than where you were before, which was very detached, where you're just like, oh, I'm just going to share my journey, see what happens, and this is fun. And then people are like, she's cool. What do you got? What is this thing that you're doing? Oh, well, I'm doing the XYZ. Cool. I want to be part of that. As to now, where you're like, I'm told I need to be consistent, so I have to put out some content today. Okay, here we go. Because it doesn't feel natural. It's probably resonating with the way that it's picked up as well, because there's probably like been a tipping point somewhere along the way where I would imagine your focus has shifted from being super detached about this, which is a very attractive trait from an abundance perspective, as opposed to then going, but I really need this to work now. And I know it has worked before because I've got evidence of it having worked. And so then you probably, I would say, just kind of giving off a little a different energy vibe in the content. And so I think the trick with this sounds really, really silly, but if I ever feel a cash flow deficit, like I'm just like, well, I'm not feeling, man, I sound so woo-woo, right? But if I ever not feel abundant, which happens, like I've still got some, what I call, I guess I'd say, kind of like emotional scar tissue from like going bankrupt and different things like that. And so sometimes I can feel my consciousness leaning back into old habits. And when I do that, I'm like, well, I'm not really living in an abundant place when I'm thinking like that. So I always go back to, believe it or not, low ticket, because I'm like I just need to make a set anything. I just need one freaking thing to work. And so then I'll go and throw out like a $5 offer, a $100 offer, whatever, and then I get that and I tap back into it, and then good things start happening off the back of it.
Oh, interesting.
So
thank you.
You're promoting, is it Luke Filer stuff?
Yeah, I only have like high ticket stuff.
We've come to the right place. So, sorry, you don't have high ticket, or you do?
I do. I only have high ticket.
Okay. If there is a lower ticket thing that that you believe in, I guess is the other thing, then that could be an option as well. And so that means that, because it is nice, like even me when I'm doing a launch, like I did one a while back where it was a $5 offer, and I was giving away 100% comms. So I was actually costing me money to do it, but it was still nice to see the Stripe notifications, ping, 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 ping. I'm like, cool. Like, tiny, like compared to what they normally be anyway, but I was like, it just looks nice. And so that there, and I think just seeing that type of stuff and seeing that evidence of like what can happen, it helps things to to blow up as well. Plus, it does pay to have a low ticket offset, because we call it the 2-hit combo. It's basically where you've got a high ticket, but then understand that not everyone has the same financial capacity as well. And so if you're trying to type fit everyone into, or typecast everyone into the high ticket, when they're like, oh, I don't, yeah, hook me up, man. I don't even like have that type of capital. It's like, sweet, okay, well, I've got this other thing. It's still going to help you based on what you told me. It's obviously not that, but maybe if you get a couple of wins with that, it's going to help you work up to that as well. So you are actually genuinely serving your audience at that level as well. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah.
I'm going to do my hard pitch on all my low ticket stuff now, by the way. Kidding. I'll send you a link. I've got plenty of stuff if you want it. Actually, it might not be in full alignment though. That's the only thing. I'd probably suggest to go find something that is related to the FBA stuff if that's what you're promoting, because obviously I don't do FBA stuff, so probably a complete mismatch. But yeah, there'll be stuff out there for sure.
Thank you.
The other thing, I don't know if this will help at all, but I'll share a little story with you. When I broke out financially and things started working in my business, I don't get emotional saying this stuff, but basically I was really, really super broke. And it was weird because my wife had a 6-figure income. And she's like, I'm not giving you any of this. No, just kidding. She had been looking after me for years. That was the thing. But because I went through bankruptcy, our finances were really separate. And it got to the point where I was trying to make online business stuff work. It really wasn't working at the speed in which I wanted. And I was putting more and more pressure on myself to the point where I was going to go back to work. And I just couldn't I couldn't borrow any more money off her. I was just like sick of being this like complete loser, or so I felt at the time. And then basically, once I got clear, okay, I've got the high ticket offer, pays me $1,000, nice. How am I going to go and acquire clients? I will book a call and just, I'm a pretty relaxed sort of dude. I joke a lot, and so therefore I know that I don't sell with pressure anyway. So I was like, okay, I know I can sell. I can do it on the call. I'm pretty good at that stuff. Okay, cool. That's how I do it. Nice. How do I get clients? Well, I've got a Facebook group, had about 400 people in at the time. I didn't really know how to monetize. I was just like link spamming every now and then. And so obviously that's changed significantly since then. But I was like, okay, I wonder if I can do a call to action and just start getting a few hand raises and see if I can get them over to a call, things like that. And then I did, and I was like, okay, well, that part works. And then that was, throughout that process. But what I did from a little bit more esoteric is I was meditating. So got a really cool meditation about a money tree that the money just kind of absorbs into you. That was really cool. I've got another one, which is where you walk out of this big stadium and the whole stadium's yelling your name, and then you're floating like Iron Man, and they're throwing all this money at you and you just absorb it. That's really cool as well. I need to say a few affirmations, but did that for a couple of weeks. I was doing NLP as well. I went to town. I was doing everything I could. So neuro-linguistic programming. Pretty sure for everyone, there has been a time in your life where you felt a sense of abundance. Could be just after you're being paid, could be where you find a dollar on the ground one time and you just remember that feeling. And so all I did is I brought that feeling up and I just anchored it. And so I did that. And then the last part of it was, and apologies if anyone's heard this story before, but I watched this thing from Tony Robbins, and it's a 3-minute video about how he, when he was 24 or something, he had, I don't know, handful of dollars left in his pocket, and he went out to buy all-you-can-eat salad, gave this little kid that came in all the rest of his money, and he said he was floating home that day, and then the next day ended up someone sent him a check for $1,200, and so he said that changed his life, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And so I was like, how can I replicate that? And I didn't have much money. I had about $84, and like I say, I know it's kind of a weird dynamic because my wife was doing pretty well, but she had been looking after me for many years. So $84, there was no invoices coming, there was no commissions due, nothing like that. And I was like, okay, well, this is it. I've got $84. And normally, if that was the case, I'd be checking my phone. Is there an automatic debit that I forgot? Check my bank account again. I'd do that all day and I'd have this anxiety about it. And then I didn't on this day. I took my wife out to lunch, and because I'm such an incredible romantic. I took her to KFC and don't sound not good to you, babe. And then went to a movie. And why are you laughing? This is serious. Went to the movies, and that was awesome. And I did, like I said, I didn't think about the money at all. I was just like, if it's gone, it's gone. If I face the humiliation of my card declining when I go up to the counter, so be it, whatever, like just enjoy. I was in the moment. It was beautiful. And so then the very next day I had this call with this person and hopped on the call, and I just, in a very relaxed manner, went through the process, and he gave me $1,000. I was like, it's cool. And
That's
like I say,
awesome.
changed my
Yeah,
life.
that's
It really
awesome.
did. Thank you. So I'm not saying like you don't have to go get married and like give away all your money or anything like that, but there is something to be said about like replicating that aspect of it, where it kind of like, it almost like proves to the universe like, hey, I've got trust that it's going to work out. And then alarmingly, it does tend to work out. Like, it's usually the worst case scenario is never as bad as we think. So anyway, random story for you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
I think the conclusion of all that is sometimes you just need to kind of relax into things a little bit, which I know is easy to say, hard to do, but it's part of it.
Hey, Jamie, I'm getting ready to jump off. I got to go get some dinner ready for my son, but we will meet on Sunday.
Look forward to it. Thanks for hopping
Yeah,
on.
me too. All right, you guys have a good night.
Thanks, Jen. See you.
All right.
Bye. Any good books for NLP? No, I don't really. I do. It's one of Tony Robbins' earlier books. It's like that, I think it's called Unlimited Power, pretty sure. But that has some really good stuff in NLP in it. But it's a tough read. Like, it's a huge book. But well worth it though. But I don't know if you even need that. Like all you need to do, like I've used NLP to help feel more confident when I'm public speaking, because my biggest fear is public speaking. I hate it. And I had to do one as an adult for my best mate for his wedding, like the best man speech. And I used NLP to just bring up a feeling of confidence before I had to speak, and I just nailed it. And I was like, oh, I can public speak. It was actually quite fun at the end of it. And then same thing for my wedding as well. I tried to speak Indonesian to my wife's family and offended everyone. It was really funny, but no, I didn't. It just cut out. It was a long story, but anyway. But I smashed it because of that. But I think it's just quite literally a matter of bringing to the surface whatever feeling you're wanting to anchor, and then just thinking of like a unique kind of like touch point on your hand or something like that you can kind of tap into, and do that a few times under like a kind of meditative state, and it will just, you can just bring that feeling up straight away, and it's quite cool. Crazy how it works. Let's check this out. You're very welcome. Anything else you guys want to cover at all? there was something, so I'll cat that part off. There was one of my students, Alenka, she's now known as a story queen, and so she was a student of SA, went off and did her own thing. And I've always admired her stories. She's a former opera singer and stuff like that, and had this pretty awesome lifestyle by the sounds of it. And then she made a comment when she was doing some training in my group one time, and she said something to the effect of like, I just stopped trying to be, and I just was authentically me. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And the more I've thought about that, the more I've like dived into that, because I realized like sometimes in the pursuit of wanting to write really good content or wanting to present in a certain way, we tend to almost try to put something that we think is the right thing out there, as opposed to just like an authentic representation, if that makes sense. And so for me, it kind of like it ignited little light bulbs. I was like, oh crap. And so then I just started telling stories. I was like, okay, cool. Well, I've had a whole bunch of stuff happen in my life, and some of them are nonsensical and some of them are interesting or whatever. And then when I started doing that, people were like, oh, I love your stories. I'm like, oh, cool. And then of course, I start to do like 5,000 things at once. And so therefore I can't think of anything to write or say anymore, and whatever. But every time I do, like I usually get folks commenting like, this is awesome. I love the authenticity behind what I'm saying here. And so maybe that's, I don't know if there's anything in that perhaps, but yeah, thought I'd throw it out there.
Yeah, thank you. I think I am such a, I think I hide. I was speaking to Luke Fowler about this the other day. I said I think I hide have at least 20% of myself on social media, just because I want to be looking more professional on but
I think hiding yourself is fine. Like I don't think you need to reveal everything. Like when I was in 5th grade, I like kicked that kid in the shins. I've always felt bad about it. Like I don't think you need to do that necessarily, but I think sometimes like having an approach of every now and then just having like scattered vulnerability, and as long as you're not leaning to the tune of like being an agony aunt about it, you're not like sort of like, it doesn't seem like you're being the victim, if you know what I mean. It's just kind of like going, hey, some days are better than others, or like, this thing happened the other day, and some people think of me like that, but I'm actually like that behind closed doors, and things like that. And I think what happens is it creates a deeper affinity with your audience as well, because if you are just like this professional, hello, my name is Crystal, thank you for checking out this video, I'd like to, whatever it is, and obviously I know you're not like that, but you kind of get the point where if there is an element of you that is putting on a persona, then there's a lack of inner congruency, if that makes sense. And so therefore it's like a mask, as opposed to just like, oh, this is just me. And I know I'm kind of like talking woo here, but I'm sure there's something important in it, put it that way. But what it's worth, I really like your content anyway. It's always very vibrant. So cool. Folks, I might disappear. It's been 2.5 hours of nearly 2.5 hours of mayhem. No, just kidding. Of awesomeness. Really appreciate everyone that's come along and tuned in, and hopefully everyone's got some stuff out of it. Worries. I'll probably chuck this on my YouTube channel as an unlisted video, and I'll just share it around if you guys want access to it. You're very welcome. Do you think these are good? Do you think would you rock up to another one of these if I posted another one? Brilliant. Next one's paid. No, just kidding. This is all part of my evil scheme. Excellent. It's working perfectly. Awesome. Well, folks, have an incredibly amazing weekend. Thank you so much for tuning in. Yeah, appreciate you all. Best of luck with everything. I'll probably host another one of these. I think this has been a lot of fun. So have a good one, guys. Thank you so much. See ya. Bye.